like you said, he's got 3 rings, right? And just to clarify, none of those rings are with Toronto, right?
Is Fraser Minton going to have more points than Safkovsky this year? Fraser Minton sucks at hockey. This guy might not even be an NHLer, so we got to settle down on that one.
Adelaide, no. Minus 160 on will they show her holding a drink in her hand.
They are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, and they are.
Oh, the Blues are dog water. The Blues suck. The Blues are the worst of those 4 teams that I mentioned by a mile.
And
they're not a good hockey team.
Care, like have some set of balls, have some response, have some pride for what the hell goes on the ice. It's so absurd.
I'm looking forward to the parade, but that's going to be later in the year.
I'd rather have so money in that than have Alber Soderblom. I would rather stack a bunch of garbage that I have in the corner of my room over here than have Alber Soderblom in that. He's
May 20th, welcome back to Edgework, presented by Pinnacle. I am your fill-in host today, Alex Moretto, taking the place of Zack Phillips, joined by Mr. Canucks himself, So Money Sports. So today we'll recap kind of what transpired on Friday night and over the weekend in the hockey world. And then we will get to the star of today's show, Game 7 between the Oilers and Canucks, break all that down for you guys, as well as give out any best bets, answer any questions from the chat, all that good stuff. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind people that, as always, today's show is sponsored by Pinnacle Sportsbook. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook, in business for 25 years. You can find out what professional bettors have known for decades. Pinnacle is where the best bettors play. You must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly. And remember, not available to bettors in the U.S. As we go through the game tonight and any games on any given day, series prices, futures markets, first period lines, puck lines, player props, anything like that, you'll notice that Pinnacle is going to have the best odds on those more often than not. So make sure you head over to Pinnacle Sportsbook and sign up there. All right. I made it through the intro. I was a little bit worried about that. You know, I've never hosted one of these before. So we did that. That's good. Got that one out of the way. Now we can get into the hockey stuff. Yeah, a couple series ended on Friday night. I know for myself, very relieved to see both those series end. I did not want to have to sit through a couple Game 7s with the positions that we had on the Panthers and Stars. Good to see both those get home, especially, doubling down on some of those after those Game 1 losses. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. And thanks to Mike on the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button first. I forgot to add that in as well. My bad. But yeah, a couple of those series ended on Friday. It was pretty uncharacteristic, I'd say. Goal allowed by Swayman late in that game for the Panthers to end up finishing that series. And obviously a little bit of controversy in the Dallas game with that disallowed goal in overtime. Didn't end up mattering. Dallas still wins in the end. So any thoughts, anything you want to add on those 2 games that happened on Friday night, or as we, these teams booked their place in the conference finals?
But I think the better team won both those series. I thought that as the series went on, Dallas was starting to take over, even though they lost that Game 5. It's not something that I was really worried about, because this is what Dallas does, right? They're not gonna. I don't know what it is about them. They'll just they won't make it easy on themselves. And even in Game 6, right? Like it took double overtime. So I mean, at the end, I think that both of those series ended the way that they should in terms of the result. Probably a little bit longer than especially in like the Florida series, but I think the right team won there.
Yeah. And now it's in the past. I don't want to have to make you relive anything. We're on to Game 7, but I do just quickly want to get your thoughts on Saturday night, Game 6. Canucks, maybe the scoreline was a little bit, well, I mean, in the end, the Canucks maybe didn't have the best game, but early on, it seemed like they were able to kind of battle back into that game after going behind early. It looked like maybe, this is going to be a frustrating night again for the Oilers, but Oilers end up breaking through maybe their best game of the series with their backs against the wall. Were you kind of expecting that with, the Oilers facing elimination? Thoughts on that game overall? And yeah, where's your head at going into Game 7?
Yeah, so my thoughts on Game 6 is a nice segue to Game 7 and my concerns, right, which is why my pants are on and I've got nothing to smile about this. So Game 6, we should have expected the way that the Oilers came out, and even I shouldn't say the way that they came out, the way that they started taking over the game as the game wore on, right? So I thought that as that game started, the Canucks were fine. They gave up the goal, but they were right there. The concern is, and my concern going into Game 7 is that that was another situation added to a lot of situations in this series where the Canucks inexperience shows in the playoffs, right? Regardless of how close I think that these teams are 5-on-5, the fact of the matter is that the Oilers are battle tested, right? They've been through the playoffs. They've lost when they probably should have won. They've pulled out games in the playoffs. They've been here before. They've seen all this, like in terms of their core. The Canucks haven't, right? And then even if you let's go back farther in this series, right? You look at Game 1. I mentioned that I didn't feel that the Canucks deserved to go down 4-1 in that game, and full credit to them for battling back. But the fact is, they did go down 4-1, right? And where their inexperience showed in that game is that they allowed things to snowball, right? Game 1, like you don't want things to be snowballing, and the Canucks fell into that. Game 2 in the third period, they had a lead in the third period, and their inexperience showed when they sat on it, right? Against a team that is going to be coming at you, and you're just sitting there, flipping it out of the zone, thinking that you're playing the Nashville Predators still, right? So that was a concern in Game 2 where their inexperience showed. In Game 4, right? Full credit to them for coming back, tying it up. And when you know that the Oilers are going to push at home at the end of regulation, they made silly mistakes, getting out of the zone early, chasing guys behind the net. Right when that shift after that goal, it should have been a lockdown shift. Right when you know that the other team is coming, so their inexperience showed there. In Game 6, I don't know what happened in that second period. Right, like maybe they thought after the first period, we've weathered this storm, we're right in this game, but they just let up, and the Oilers just kept coming, and the Canucks let them come, and there was just a snowball there again. Inexperience showed there. Now we're in a Game 7, right, where we know it's going to be tight. We know that the Oilers, as much firepower as they have, it is going to be a tighter game, right? And I worry because in the biggest moments, I worry about the Canucks taking a bad penalty. I worry about the Canucks missing an assignment, right? I worry about the Canucks breaking out too early. McDavid has been held in check. Now, the thing is that the Miller line has been on with against the McDavid line, and they've been doing a great job. Well, now Boeser is out, right? So now you need someone else in that line who's essentially going to be going up against McDavid, right? So now the pattern for the 6 games has been established, and now in Game 7, you're going to have somebody thrown in there to go up against McDavid in a series where we haven't seen his best, right? Maybe he's been injured, I don't know, but like we definitely haven't seen Connor's best in this series, and it's Game 7, it's coming, right? So those are the things that worry me, I think, and Shelov's, I mean, great job by the kid, right? But but we saw some breakdowns, and I kind of mentioned this a couple of games ago that we are seeing breakdowns in his in his game a bit right now. So I mean,
it's a big moment for the kid for sure, and coming off maybe his worst game in the playoffs, it's not ideal. Do you see a bounce? Like it's very possible we see a bounce back. And look, Skinner doesn't exactly inspire confidence either, right? He hasn't shown the ability to be consistent and provide those consistent saves. He had a fine game the other night, but he wasn't really tested.
Absolutely, right, and you made a great point there too. That's another thing with like the inexperience, right? Like like Skinner's coming in, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in that game you can come out with a little bit more urgency, right? Instead of thinking that we just need to sit here and weather the storm, maybe we can take it to them, right? And maybe we can kind of get into their heads and like um and like limit their belief in this game, right? But we haven't seen that from the Canucks, right? And like there's been all these new moments in a series that come up that the Canucks still show their inexperience, and they've shown it throughout this whole series. So again, I may be speaking from a very Canucks centric point of view where everything is always doom and gloom. You're always expecting the worst. Um, I did pick the Oilers in 7 before the series started, and I really, really want to be wrong. But I've seen this same story play out many, many, many times in my life, right? So again, maybe I'm just having low expectations, so I'm not too disappointed. But yeah, it's tough right now.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to we'll get into game 7 here. I just wanted to touch on Brock Boeser too. Obviously the loss of him is just massive. Leading goal scorer for them. And it just on a human level, it sucks so much for him because he's battled through a lot kind of in his
Yeah.
career, a lot of adversity. And to now maybe this, the best season of his career, to have it cut short in this fashion right before game 7, really just sucks. And obviously, there's more important things in hockey. And obviously he's dealing with a little something here with this blood clot. So hopefully that all gets sorted, and great that they found it and they're able to, treat it now. And I'm sure he's got the best medical staff around taking care of him. But yeah, really, really sucks. And it is difficult to see how they recover from not having him. Maybe it's one of those situations where the whole team, we see it a lot where a star player goes out and the whole team has this kind of rallying effect where for that first game, things are really good. But it's like, if they do rally around, not having Boeser and they put in their best performance, it's going forward, game 1 next round, game 2 next round, where they said, they was reported this morning by Frank Saravalli that he is not expected to be available again this season. So if they do make it past tonight, it's like, just such a tough blow for them where there's no, the power play and everything, just a team that's kind of struggled a little bit to score goals. Really sucks. So yeah, hopefully everything works out for him, but that's a tough one here. So we can bring up the lines for tonight. So right now we have the Oilers as minus 152 favorites over at Penny, plus 137 on the Canucks. Total of 5.5, pretty much across the board, juice to the over. Do you have any interest in anything here, side or total, any of these main markets?
So I did play the under. I played it at 6. 5.5 were that 5.5 plus 105. I'm good with that.
Okay.
I do think that it is going to be a low event game. I think that obviously we know the way that the Canucks need to play this game, and we know that they're going to be coached up in this game. I think it's pretty apparent that the Canucks are gonna, if they win this game, they're gonna need to win this game 2-1 or 3-2. It's going to be one of those kind of games. And I think the Oilers, they're fine playing that right now, especially because they still need to insulate Skinner as well. So I think that we'll see both teams kind of collapse into the net here, and I don't think there's going to be any room in the neutral zone. Theoretically, we should have less power plays. So I do think that this is going to be a 2-1 kind of game. If the Oilers win, it's going to be like 4-1, I think. If the Canucks win, they're going to have to like grind out a 2-1, 3-2 kind of game.
Yeah, I agree with you. We can make that a double best bet where you basically said everything. I don't even really need to add anything here. It's just it has to be ugly for the Canucks to have a way here. They have to make this as ugly as possible. They can't get into some sort of back and forth, especially now where like you had some confidence in Silos where you're like, okay, he's playing well, things are looking okay. Maybe we can take a couple chances and, let him do his thing. Now it's like you're coming off that game 6 where it just any confidence that you kind of built up in him, and it's just kind of gone now, where it's not like you have no confidence in him, but you're going to really make sure you're sheltering him and protecting him as best you can. Obviously, the same thing there with Skinner. Even if Skinner isn't at his best, it's still like the Canucks are just struggling to generate shots and generate offense. They just haven't been able to consistent. Outside of that, like, I don't know where that second period in Game 5 came from. Outside of that, it's been really low event hockey for them. That's definitely their path to victory here. So, yeah, I'm on the under myself. I do think this is going to be a tight, tense sort of game where goals are going to be hard to come by. Almost one of those ones where, like, it's, it sucks as a fan, but like where it's like Game 7, it's like that first goal, allowing that first goal is just, it just feels crippling, So that's going to be obviously very important here. And then, I think whoever does get that first goal, we're going to see them really try and shut things down. So I agree with the under. Anything player prop wise, where now, there's obviously maybe a little bit of a change in value on some of these guys with Boeser coming out of the lineup, the lines moving around a little bit. I think that the Garland and Joshua wing pairing is going to be moving up to play with JT Miller, it sounds like, which is, Garland's a guy who's had a pretty good series, and Joshua, a guy who did have a good series in the first round and kind of hasn't really been able to put up the same amount of points since. Maybe anything you're looking at there, anything, anywhere else up and down this lineup?
I think that even though Joshua and Garland should start with Miller, I think the problem is that eventually we're going to get to a point in this game where there's going to be a lot of line shuffling. I don't think Tocchet is going to be sticking with these lines, right? And even if he does, like, it just, I worry about McDavid going off, right? Even if he's held in check, like, that Miller is going to be matched up against McDavid. Tocchet's not going to go. It's not going to deviate from that, right? And then throughout the lineup, I mean, yeah, it's tough for me to find anything right now. I'm just going through.
I know Slam Deal wants to know if you like McDavid over 3.5 goals.
I don't know why he's talking right now, to be honest. Why hasn't he been blocked yet?
I don't know. Zach's obviously Zach hasn't given me the controls to do that. I'm only a fill-in host. I don't have that kind of power. So
yeah.
I wonder how many goals Mark Stone might score a few goals tonight for his Vegas, or no? Yeah. They're done. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm still going to be hearing from him though. So that's going to be a fun night. Yeah. I mean, I just know my thoughts on the game. There's not much else I see there. Hoping I'm wrong, but I'm just sitting here. I've seen this story before.
Yeah, I agree on the player prop side, where it's like it's just hard to get behind anything. Where I do think maybe there hasn't been enough of an adjustment for a Garland or a Joshua, where there's only like a 5-10 cent move on where their lines were in Game 6 or Game 5. But at the end of the day, like, if we're expecting a low event game, not a lot of shots, not a lot of goals, it's hard to get in on anything, shots on goal wise, assists, points wise. So yeah, I have nothing there myself. Yes, Vegas did win the cup last year. I lost a lot of money on that as well. So thank you for reminding me. I see some people in the chat like some stuff here. I know Charles 0-0 reg draw. So money, I pray for you if that's the case. I mean, hey, you're happy, get it to overtime, one shot, anything can happen. Just takes one bounce at that point, right?
Honestly, if it's 0-0 in overtime, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah.
Right? Just get me to a point where, like, I can get a bounce and I know that I won the game.
Yeah. Rich likes a Joshua goal from a Garland assist from his lips to God's ears. I think that would be great for you guys too, getting them on the score sheet. And Mosul Jordan likes JT plus I think that's plus 210 anytime goal. Yeah. I mean, everything's gonna have to funnel through him. So yeah. All right. We'll recap the best bets here. I'm going to do my best as to fill in for Zach. I don't even know exactly how to do it, to be honest with you, but we do have one bet tonight. I'm just going to recap it with using my words here. It is under 5.5 plus 105, a full unit that was locked in over at Pinnacle Sports. Any final words, any parting remarks you want, So Money, before we sign off here today?
I mean, it's going to be painful. Even just watching the game, And I do. There is a path to the Canucks to win this game. There absolutely is a path, but it's gonna take a lot, right? And yeah, and Game 7 suck when it's your team. Like they really do, right? Like it's not. Usually, I'm always looking for a Game 7. They're looking forward to a Game 7, but I'm not excited at all. Like I'm fucking nervous as hell, right? And it really sucks when it's your team. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully the Canucks rally. I'll be getting into the locker room. I'll have my speech. I'll be in better spirits as the day goes on, and I'm getting more pumped up towards the game, and I'll have my speech going. I'll be ready to go, and but for now, I'm the pants are on, and I'm very reserved.
Yeah, I know you start watching those montages on YouTube, get yourself all fired up. You're ready to run through a wall. And then the anthem comes on and the butterflies just come in and you're just sick to your stomach. And then from there, yeah, the rest is history. So, all right, good luck tonight. I know I envy you, but I don't envy you at the same time. I mean, I would kill for the Habs to have a nice Game 7, but I also know how stressful that is and how painful that can be if it doesn't go your way. So just the one bet for us tonight. Make sure you guys keep locked in on Edgework Twitter and YouTube here, because we are going to have some series previews, I think, recorded at some point in the next couple of days before the conference finals get underway on Wednesday. Zach is under the weather right now. That's why I'm filling in for him. So the recording times are TBD, but we will have those probably posted, I would say, hopefully tomorrow, if we can record tomorrow. So yeah, stay tuned there. Just the one bet tonight. Enjoy the game, everyone, and good luck on your bets.